Good morning. It is Tuesday, February 21st, 2023. My name is Terry Morgan. We are here to practice fundamentals for Wudang sword. There are a couple of things I talked about yesterday. The basic idea that we have a double-edged sword. It's a straight sword. Jian, 不是刀，是剑. And it's sword. Okay, so broadsword and straight sword in English, Dao, Jian. In Mandarin, it's easier in Mandarin. It is, but that idea, and there's some distinguishing. Da Dao is a big knife. The idea that we have two sides, sharp. Mine's not, but traditionally, you just have a sharp sword. You don't want to go into battle with a dull sword, right? So as we're practicing that sense of, and that sword hand, that sense of where that edge of the blade is, as well as being able to use the tip of the blade, makes a difference. Let's get started. All right, now I've talked about the idea that any weapon, is an extension of whatever else it is we're doing. I talked about that a bit yesterday with the idea that Wudang Tai Chi sword and Wudang Dragon sword are not the same. They're not. All right, and the way that we move, the way that the sword moves are not the same. The difference between Yang style Tai Chi sword and Wudang style Tai Chi sword is the same difference between the styles. So there are some smaller circles, there are more twists in Wudang Tai Chi. There are broader sweeping movements, and there are what I see as sometimes more elegant movements in Yang style Tai Chi. It's big and it moves freely and it moves well. And that sense of movement extends to the sword form, the same as it does for Wudang style sword. All right. Basic practice with a sword is not the form practice. I probably should have got that salt water before I came in. That's all right. So, where's the sword? Where's, right? Where's your sword? Slice down, slice down, slice down, slice down, slice down, slice down. Where's your sword? That exercise. You have to know where your sword is, right? You're changing hands on the fly. Literally, it's flying. So what do you do? How do you, what's going on here? At the beginning of, and slice down, right? At the beginning of each of our sets, we have the change of hands. And in fact, there's double sword, there's a two-hand sword form, two swords, right? Madame Wangjiron used to teach. She's passed away now. I think her daughters probably still teach that. Two straight swords. Not easy. Not easy. Okay, this idea that and her Green Dragon sword is not the same as Wudang sword, is not the same as Yang style sword, is not the same as Wudang Dragon sword. They're all different. The flavor that goes with belongs to the system that you practice, right? So I'm going to go back to this idea. As I open here, right? Salute. And I'm just going to go straight to this opening. In Wudang Tai Chi sword, I'm going to step back and change hands here to push forward. In Dragon sword, I come across here, right here, and change hands to sweep around. That change has to happen. You need to get the sword to the other hand. And in practice, one of the things that I developed, one of the things that I learned, was that I needed to understand this slice. Where's the edge of the blade? Where's the tip of the blade? What am I supposed to do with that? As early on, slice across, and then turn it over, and slice across, and turn it over, and slice across. And this is just below shoulder height. The arm is fully extended, and I'm going to point this out here. Fully extended doesn't mean this. Fully extended is here. So drop the elbow. Elbow is lower than the shoulder. Wrist is lower than the shoulder. Okay? So the arm's up. It's not here. This is good too, but this is different exercise. For right now, this is up here. Okay? As this sweeps across, paying attention to where that blade is, so that it's not this. Okay? No. Yes. No. Yes. Right? That slice and slice. How we hold see where my hand is. That's the wrist. Notice that I'm not gripping. I'm not trying to grip the sword. I'm holding it. Right? So I've got some play in my hand. And yeah, I can do that. I've got some play in my hand. And the sword, I don't drop it, right? No, you don't get to drop it. But that idea that you've got a firm grip that's not holding so tight that you can't do anything, right? This sword is not intended to be double hand. It's not. It doesn't have, that's not, but there is, Professor Liu has one, Johnny Lee has one. They're just intended to be double hand for Xingyi. And for Johnny Lee's form, it was for Bagua and for Mahjong Hua Horn. I think I said that right. Maybe not. Different system that he teaches. All right. Slice. We get to use the point. Okay. The point of the sword. Here. Here. If I'm using the point, I may have the sword here. I may have it here. Depends. There is, I can say this with clarity, there is never a time when I'm going to do this. Right? I'm not. No, that's not what a sword does. Now, I might do that with that's slice, right? This is, what is this? I don't know what this is. My target's over here. What is this? Slice, yes. P, yes. Slice downward, yeah, we can do that. Slice across, yeah. Straight, yes. No. That's no. So, how do we develop this flexibility to change hands, not drop the sword, yeah, not dropping it, right? And being able to understand intuitively where the edge is. I didn't have to think about where the edge is. It's there. Right? That slice and slice again has multiple applications. There's multiple applications. Downward, outward, inward, right? We can slice up too. Upward, downward, out, in, out, in. All of these would be in, and I'm going to turn around, I'm going to go ahead and do it. In beginner level class, all of these are drills. Do this repeatedly, lots of times. Okay, so, feet about shoulder width apart. Sword is going up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop. Drop the elbow, drop the wrist, bring up the tip. Yeah. That full. Hey, and let me explain something here. Look where the sword is. Look where my sword is. It's over here. Alright, so when it comes up, I don't want to hit myself with it. I don't. I really don't. It hurts. Right? This is not where I want the sword when it comes up. It's not. I want it over here. Okay? I want to clear my arm. Always want to clear my own body. So, no. Don't do that. No. Right? That whole idea that as is, if inward. No. Pull in and come back. Yeah, okay. We could do that. But no. The idea, same thing for here. No. No. That hurts. It really does. You hit yourself in the leg with the sword. It hurts. Got to clear the leg. Down. Turn. Up. And down again. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Down. Slice. Strike down. And turn it around. If your hand is too tight, you can't make the circle. It won't work. Okay, so this I did before. 1, 2. Let's do this one. Slice across. 1, turn it over, 2. Inward, outward. Inward, outward. Yang fist, yin fist. Palm up is yang, palm down is yin. Shoulder height. Alright, stop. That, slice across. Very simple. It gives us this sense of where is the edge of the blade, and it forces us to pay attention to that. This one forces us to pay attention to what we're doing with the hand. You can't do this if your hand is too tight, if your wrist is not flexible, and if you're not paying attention to where the sword goes. Again, don't hit yourself with it. It's a bad, no. This one, don't do it. Always outside your frame, so that when whatever would happen is not going to come back to hit you. Okay? So, yeah, no. Yeah? Okay? Because look where I'm turned. I'm still over here, right? That's where the sword is relative to my body. Same thing here. Paying attention to what you've got in your hand, what you're doing with it, and what it can do. Okay. That idea that with, I talked about this yesterday, with a broadsword, you've got an edge and you've got a flat. Okay, so the back of the sword is flat, the edge of a broadsword has the edge. So you can put your hand on it, and there are techniques with broadsword that use both hands on the sword. You can do that with a samurai sword as well, because there's one edge on it. Those techniques, I don't see it done too often, but you can. There are techniques that use the back of that use the hand on the blade. Okay, here, this. Much more of this with a samurai sword. All right, that. You can't do that with this. You can't do that with a double-edged sword. The idea that you're going to put your hand on the blade, no, you're not. You're not. It doesn't happen. All right, so what can you do? Your other hand, sword hand, 2 fingers, close the fist, sword, okay, follows, generally follows. It may do some other things a little bit, not really. It pretty much follows what you're doing with the sword. So here, yeah, there are several techniques to develop this facility, right? I showed a couple of them. This, paying attention to what you're doing with the hand, right here. Allowing the sword to turn, having a firm grip so that you don't drop it. You know, no dropping. Right? Having a firm grip, knowing where the sword is. It's not. I've practiced this particular exercise quite a few years. Right? And it's something that I wanted to do because my hand was too tight. I was holding the sword too tight. What do I, and how do I develop the skill so that I know where it is without having that really tight grip? I did this. Each time that slice reinforces where it should be so that it's outside my frame, not here. Okay? Somebody tried to get my leg, and I'm going to move that out of the way, right? That's what we're doing in that move. So that's that sense of intent and what I might be doing has to be present if we're it's martial arts, right? It's a sword. If we're not paying attention to the idea that this is a martial art and that there are opportunities to do something with the sword that we don't think about today, because who walks around with a sword? If I'm going to a tournament, I might have it, but nobody walks around with a sword these days. 14th century, yeah, sure. Weapon of choice, right? The 14th, 15th century, the weapon of choice, sword. Before that as well, all right? So this is old. Mine is 30 years old-ish, but the concept of a sword is old. We don't pay attention to it today. We don't. It's not... What can you do with that? Well, but the discipline and the idea behind what would I have been doing with this sword in the 14th century? What might I have been doing with this particular weapon? Again, different than a staff, different than a whip chain, different than a broadsword, different than a long list of other weapons in traditional martial arts. This is not exclusive to, and there's short knives as well as long knives. That idea that I'm going to take this long knife and I'm going to go fight somebody who's on horseback? No, not today. Not usually, right? There's other things that we do today. 14th, 15th century, again, this would have been a good weapon. It's an extension of the arts, and it's an extension of our own qi and jing. Qi, the inner breath, that foundation for what we're practicing, breath and the connection of the breath with the movement. The energy, jing, fa jing, that extending the energy and connecting that extension through the entire body so that it's not at, it's through. That sense of connection is part of what we want and what we're looking to develop by practicing with a weapon. Right? So my practice with a straight sword is different than my practice with a broadsword would be. My practice with a straight sword is different than with a short staff. Short staff, about the same length as a sword, or a long staff, okay, at my head height. I can do this. Short staff, I can do this. Long staff, I can do this. Yeah, my wrist needs to be a little stronger to do that with one hand. I'd be two hands with the long staff. There's a difference there. The kind of thing that I can expect to achieve, what I might do with a stick, that's a staff, long staff, is different than what I can do with a sword. Slice. I can hit with a staff. I can hit with a sword too, but that intent of what is this intended to, that idea of what this is, the idea behind what this is intended to do is different than the idea behind what we do with the staff. That's part of the practice, part of the development of skill in what we're doing with the sword. Okay. Talked about paying attention to the edge of the blade and how the wrist turns. I'm going to give one more exercise. I'm going to do this again tomorrow, so I'll give this exercise again tomorrow. I got to try and do it without taking out the light fixture. Okay, so lower horse stance. So don't take out the light fixture. Down, come around, and down, and around. Keep the edge of the blade on the figure 8. Make it smaller. Alright, that figure 8 right there. There is, it's figure 8 in there. If I could light up the tip, right, to see the figure 8. Alright, we're going to do this slowly, not quite so fast, with a bigger figure 8. Right? Slice down, slice down, slice, and slice. Change through the legs the same as you would for cloud hands. So, turn here, turn through the hip, set, and start down. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, relax. Circle and turn. Right? Again. Extend the arm a little bit more. You should feel this in the forearm and in the shoulder. And keep going. Slice down, come around. All right, relax. Shake it out. That twist and turn as part of series of sets to develop that flexibility through both the upper body in extending the sword and through the wrist and the forearm to have the strength to hold it, right? And keep going, is part of what we want to develop. That's foundations, right? And I'm going to say something about this. You'll notice that I tend to, when I'm not doing something with the sword, I'm going to hold it over here, down. Good habit. It's a very good habit. I talk with my hands a lot, and talking with the sword in my hand is not a good thing unless I'm actively doing something with it. Okay, so talking about slice, extend, yeah, okay, but then and generally, right? So normally we want to pay attention to blade is down by your side, not going to bother anybody. No. In starting form, here, sword is straight. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. All right. That sense of where is it? What am I doing with it? What should I be doing with it? And am I paying attention to whatever it is that I'm doing? That's part of practice generally. It's more so part of practice whenever we have something else that we're using. A weapon. That slice through, extend, and paying attention to being able to turn through the movement, through the wrist, without dropping the sword, not dropping, is part of the foundations that we need for all of the other practice. Right? With dragon sword, I need to change hands. Right? Here. I'm trying to avoid the light fixture, and I'm leaning off to one side. I shouldn't do that. I need to be in the other studio for this. I'm still working on getting the car fixed. All right. So as this comes around here, yeah. We're going to work on that. That twist that we're working on in foundation, right there. If we don't understand that dynamic in a foundation practice, basic sets, how can we do it in form? I hope this class was helpful, informative. I have talked about this. I am going to teach Dragon Sword. It's maybe not next week, but it's very soon. And knowing what the sword is doing and what we're doing with it is really, really, really important. I appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much.